presentation will discuss the use of TI-84 calculators in a math classroom that will also assist students with disabilities. The TI-84 Plus graphing calculators display graphs and charts, have 3 times more memory than previous versions, which are the TI-83 calculators. They are preloaded with educational apps that will enhance classroom experience. You can choose different modes on the calculator that could satisfy whichever type of mathematics you need to use, whether it's trigonometry or algebra. You can connect your computer and your projector using a USB to the calculator, which is very beneficial to show students how to actually use the specific tools and what buttons to press. In addition to the other identifications about this graphing calculator, it's handheld and operates with 4 AAA batteries, and you can plot several lines on a graph at one time, which is very beneficial when you have to find intersection points or compare 2 different functions. So it makes it a lot easier for students to actually see it visually. The graphing calculators are very expensive, so depending on what website you purchase the calculator from, you might be able to find a better deal. Quill.com offers $114 for the calculator. Office Depot, Office Max sell it for $120. CDW.com, which is most expensive, sells it for $140. And Amazon.com will sell the calculator for $101.66. But you can also purchase the calculator off of Amazon, renting it or buying it used, which could be cheaper. This calculator is used very often. It's first introduced in 8th grade math when they first started getting into graphing functions or graphing equations. But you could also manipulate algebraic expressions with this calculator. You can factor, expand, or simplify expressions using different operations. You can provide answers in exact form. So instead of rounding the decimal and having to put it through another expression or equation, the calculator will actually take that exact value and substitute it into the equation fully, and then you round at the end, which is very nice. You can graph equations and functions, and a lot of this calculator is used through high school math. So 8th grade is introduced, and Algebra 1, Algebra 2 Trig, Geometry, Pre-Calc, and Calculus, which is also college math. The graphing calculator has multiple benefits towards students with disabilities and their work ethic in math class. With the calculators, their computations will be able to speed up. They will be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide, do anything on the calculator and not have to worry about pressure. They could have more time spent on actually learning real math instead of focusing on the specific computations that should be already learned and already taught in previous math classes. Students' confidence will increase, so they will feel more confident with answering questions as in front of the class and solving things up on the board. Their math anxiety will decrease. There will be an increase in enthusiasm in math, which not many teachers see. Students are already checked out of math at the beginning of school, which makes it even harder. And the attitude towards math will increase, so students will get excited to actually see what they're going to learn next on the calculator, which will then help with their math computations. In addition to the other benefits, the graphing calculators will allow students to become more active learners. They will be able to work together and communicate with peers to help figure out what other buttons or what other things that their classmates have found that could visualize the problems that they're working on. Visualizing things will help students actually understand the specific math problems that confuse them. The calculator can also be used to store, manipulate, and display data in many different ways. there are negative aspects of the graphing calculator, and the most important negative aspect is the fact that students become very dependent on the graphing calculator, which then causes them not to know how to solve math problems algebraically, which on final exams, as well as the New York State Regents exams, students need to know how to show their work. So putting everything into the calculator is not going to be able to get you full credit. So students need to know how to divide, how to multiply, how to FOIL, how to simplify expressions. So it's very, very important. Students can also cheat using the graphing calculators. You can store notes, you can store equations, you can store functions in the calculator that you could use on a test. And lastly is the cost. As you saw before, the cost for calculators, these graphing calculators, are not cheap. And the batteries on top of that is, it totals out to a good chunk of money. So it's very important that students are responsible for these calculators and take care of them. But what's seen often is teachers have the school provide class sets. So students have the ability to borrow a calculator from the school. They're once again responsible for it and have to pay for any damages and or if they lost it. But that also will save money for these students if they can't afford to buy.
Begin on our home screen and press the Y equals button. This takes us to the equation screen where we can enter expressions in the graph. For example, let's enter x squared to y1. To view the graph, press graph. We see the parabola y equals x squared appear on the coordinate axes. If we want to graph multiple functions at a time, we could go back to the y equals screen. So let's do that. Let's enter sine of x to y2, which we can reach by pressing the down button. Going back to the graph screen, we can see that our new function is also graphed once at the old function. However, it's fairly hard at the current level to see the graph. Let's check out the new menu and see if we can get a better picture. One easy function to use is fit. We can reach this by scrolling down and then pressing 0 to select fit. The equations are regraphed, and we see that while the graph square looks a lot nicer, we can hardly see the graph from the sine plane at all. The zoom fit feature can work very well sometimes, but it can't always read your mind. We want to get a closer look at our sine waves. Let's go back and try out a different zoom function. The zoom trick function, which by pressing 7, shows us a really nice picture. We can see the two periods of the sine wave and the tick mark that correspond to integral portions of the graph. Now let's check out the trace feature. We reach this by pressing the trace button, and it allows us by pressing left and right to see the exact values of the functions on our graph. First though, let's press down and switch from x squared to the sine wave, which is indicated in the upper left corner. You'll notice that the points the trace function chooses might not appear nice, but press right 6 times and you'll see that it displays the value of 0.785, which is pi over 4. So each left or right takes pi over 24 in this mode. Go over another 6, and we have the value at pi over 2. The window menu shows us our current settings, and you notice that the XCL, X scale, is pi over 2, which determines how far apart our stars are on the x-axis. We can input values here for the various boundaries in our window. It's usually easier to remember that we can also get these parameters by selecting various functions zoom in. In other words, the window is just a numerical interface for this. Let's go back to the menu